Hi guys, I'm Laura Vitale. Today I want to show you how I make my potato focaccia. It's a very, clearly I'm excited. It's a very traditional recipe in Italy. I know that for us, in Naples anyway, we love it as an appetizer, or sometimes even here in the US, you'll go to certain Italian restaurants and you can find, they'll give you a basket of bread when you get there, and this is going to be the thing that sometimes is hidden in there. That's my favorite. So we love it. We make it for special occasions. We make big slabs of it. Today I'm going to make a smaller one because it is just Joe and I. We will eat the entire thing, so I'm going to try and make it smaller so it's not so bad. The first thing we're going to start with is potatoes. I'll talk about the dough in just a minute, but I have a few potatoes just because they're small that have been washed well and scrubbed. Now, these need to be about 70% of the way cooked through. So the best way I have found to do this is to just leave the potatoes whole, put them in a saucepan, wash them, then cover them with water, and then just sort of bring them to a boil and then let them simmer for about 7 to 8 minutes, this size anyway. If they're any bigger, you're going to have to definitely crank up that time for 7 to 8 minutes, or until if you start piercing the potato with a spoon, a knife, if it comes out, oven's preheating for something else, if it comes out with a little bit of resistance, that's what you want. If it comes out super clean, that means the potato is fully cooked through, and that's not what you want. If it doesn't go in at all, that means the potato is not cooked at all. So I'm going to put this on. I'm going to let these cook for 7 to 8 minutes, or until they're about 70% of the way cooked through, and then I'm going to let them cool completely, and then I'll talk about the dough in just a minute. Once the water came to a boil, I just reduced it to about medium-low and then let it simmer for 7 minutes. And I took the potatoes out and I'm going to let them cool and just leave them to the side because now we don't need them for this portion. Let's talk dough. This is a 1-pound ball of pizza dough. You can do many things. You can make your own. I have a great recipe on my website, or even on my book, how to make homemade pizza. That recipe does make 2 1-pound balls of pizza dough. In this case, since I'm making a small one, you're only going to need 1. You can make the dough from scratch. You can also go to your favorite sort of local pizza shop, and you can also ask them if you can buy a ball of pizza dough. They'll sell it to you for around $3 or $4. Or most grocery stores that I know of around the country do sell their own homemade pizza dough. So you can do that. You need 1 pound, and you need to make sure it's been risen already, which this has. Now what I've done is I have a small baking sheet. I have a little bit of olive oil underneath, and now what I'm going to do, don't add any flour to this. You are just going to stretch this pizza dough just until it's about the same thickness. And you want it to be, you want to stretch it out to fit inside your baking sheet. Now the reason why I'm using only 1 today is because I'm making a small focaccia. I'm not making a big one because, like I said, I would eat it. And that wouldn't be, my hips wouldn't so much appreciate that as much as my palate would, even though I don't really care. But the point is, I'm trying to be, all in moderation. So, but if you want to do a really big one, let's just do 2 balls of pizza dough and stack them on top of each other. Now, one of the things that's really sort of crucial about focaccia is the oil. You can see I have oil underneath, and then what I've done is when I flip it around, then it oils the other side as well. And then all those dimples soak up the oil, and it just makes it for the most fantastic thing of life. Now that I have stretched this out pretty much all the way, what I need to do is cover this with some plastic wrap and leave it somewhere nice and warm to rise for about ½ hour to 45 minutes, or until it's risen quite a bit. And I'll show you what it looks like when it's there. I'm going to wash my hands, wrap, let it rest, and then we'll continue. My dough has risen really nicely. All right, so what I've done here, I'm just sort of pushing my dough down a little bit. I have my oven preheated to 425. I've got my potatoes here. I have peeled them, and I've also sliced them really thin. You want to slice them as thin as you possibly can. And I also have a little bit of onion that I have thinly sliced. This is optional, but for me, it's a must. All right, here we go. You take your potatoes, and you basically cover the entire surface with your potatoes, just like that. Now I like to just sprinkle with some thinly sliced onion. You just want to make sure that your potatoes are covering pretty much the whole surface. I like to leave a little bit of an edge, but not much. Then I've got some dry rosemary that I like to, you can do fresh, but we always do dry. And I just sort of pinch it in my finger so it sort of crumbles a little bit, like that. Coarse sea salt. You can use regular salt, of course, but this is beautiful Sicilian sea salt, so that's what I'm using. And then you want to do a nice drizzle of olive oil on the top. And this just needs about 20 minutes or so in a hot oven or until it's golden brown, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's there. My focaccia was in the oven for exactly 20 minutes. I have let this cool for about 15 minutes, but as you can see, what I want you to see is how the potatoes almost just become like a part of the dough, which is what you want. All right, I am just gonna cut this into little pieces. You can cut them as big or as small as you want, but I'm gonna go for a corner piece right now because I can't help myself. But you see, it's lovely and thick. The potatoes are really nice and thin. The onion is almost like it's not existent, but it adds like such lovely sweetness to it. Nice and crunchy. It's amazing. I like to make like big slabs of focaccia, like all different flavors, and then have people go to town. It's so good and it's really easy. I'm going to have the recipe ready for you on laurainthekitchen.com. I hope that you make this and I hope that you give it a try and I hope that you love it as much as we do. Hope you enjoy spending time with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye!